Welcome to the Math Record. Today I'll be covering the second part of the ICTM Regional 2016 Division AA Geometry, which I'll be covering questions 14, 15, and 20. Okay, let's begin with 14. In the right triangle shown, x plus y plus z equals 2 times square k, square w, and square p. Find the sum of k plus w plus p. So basically just look at this diagram. So I can just draw it. And we gotta make this perpendicular. So something like this. Then we have some kind of height. Then let's draw this. So we have a right triangle and a right triangle. And you could just basically use proportions. So this triangle is similar to this triangle, which is also similar to this big triangle. Or you could just use some special properties that if you're trying to find some relationship, it's actually pretty useful. So let's say 2 and 10. And the property is that z squared is equal to the part under it, which is 2, times the entire length, which is 2 plus 10. So that's 12. And x squared is equal to 2 times 10. So it's just the two parts under it. And then y is basically the same thing as z. So the part under it, which is 10, times the entire length, which is 12. So then if you want to find z, take the square root of 2 and 24. So that's just 4 squared 6. 12. And then we have x is equal to square root 2 times 10, which is just 2 squared 5. And then y, square root of 10 and 12. So that's just 4, and then that's a 3. 3 times 10 equals 30. So this 2 squared 30. Actually, this is 2 squared 6. Yeah. So then basically we could add them together. So 6 plus 5 plus 30, that is an answer of 41. And that's basically it. Okay, number 15. Quadrilateral ABCD is inscribed in circle O as shown. AB is equal to 2, BC is equal to 4, and CD equals 5, and DA is equal to 3. The ratio of the area of this triangle FAB to this triangle of EAD is K to W. Um, Determine the ratio of K to W, basically. Okay, so let's kind of draw a shape. And we have some kind of triangle. So let's say something like this, and then from there to here, and then like that. Then let's stretch this one out. So like that. Okay. And now we could just delete this part over here. So we know that AB is 2, so it's 2, 4, 5, and 3. So 2, 4, 5, and then 3. So what you need to know is that this triangle and this triangle are similar, and this triangle and this triangle are similar. So how do I know that? Well, they share this angle, so we already know one angle is the same. And I know this one is equal to this. And the reason is because for inscribed angles, basically, these two angles had to add up to 180. So, but I also know that these two angles had to add up to 180. So that gives us that this angle is equal to this angle. And that's basically it. And that is the same logic for this plus this is 180, but this plus this is also 180. So that gives us that this and this are 180. And you can do the same logic for this. So that's just the idea of basically just using those angles. So I know that since that that those triangles are that these two triangles are similar, the bigger and the smaller, since this is 5 and this is 2, that gives us that the ratio of this entire big triangle is 25 because 5 squared to 2 squared, which is 4. So this will be 25 to 4. So if I call this 4x, because it needs to be scaled by something, so then 25 minus 4 is 21. So we could call this 21x. Okay, and now we could do the same thing for this. So I know this is 4, so then 4 squared is 16, and then 3 squared here is 9. So we could call this 9y, and this entire thing is 16y. So 16y minus 9y, so that's 7y. So to get the ratio between those two triangles is 4x divided by 9y. But how do I know that relationship between x and y? Well, I know that this triangle is 21x. This quadrilateral is 21x, but I also know this is 7y. So that gives us that 3x is equal to y. So we could plug that into here. So we have 4x over 9 times 3x. So substitute your y with 3x and cancel out your x. So that's just 4 to 27. And that's your answer for number 15. Okay, now let's go to number 20. In ABC, the altitude from A to BC intersect BC between B and C, and the foot of the altitude has coordinate -2, 3. The equation of the perpendicular bisector of BC is 2x plus y is equal to 4, and the equation of the median from A to 3x plus 4y is 16. Determine the coordinates of A. Well, if we want to find A, we need to find some lines that go through it. So based on these lines, we have an altitude, we have a perpendicular bisector, and we have a median. So I know that an altitude has to go through A because they're making an altitude from A. And I know that a median has to go through A because it says from A. But perpendicular bisector doesn't necessarily always go through the basically the height. So if you kind of draw like a picture of a triangle, let's say something like this, right? Perpendicular bisector be right here. So we call this A. It doesn't technically go through it, but if we have a height, which is our altitude, it goes through A, and our median goes through A, splits it in half. So I know that a median and a altitude goes through A. So then from there, what can we do? Well, we know our equation for our median, which is 3x plus 4y is equal to 16. But now we have to find our equation for our altitude. And an altitude and the perpendicular bisector, they both have similar slopes. And the reason is because they're perpendicular to the base, basically. So let's say we go back to that triangle. So this height is perpendicular to this line, and a perpendicular bisector, let's say it's right here, it's also perpendicular. So their slope are going to be the same because they're both perpendicular to the line. So we could say 2x plus 3, 2x plus y is the equation for our altitude. Now we just need to find the value that it goes through. Well, I know it goes through -2, 3. So we plug in -2, 3 here. That's -4 plus 3 is -1. Now we just need to find the intersection, and that will give us our coordinates for A. So we could just multiply this entire thing by -4 and then add to the first equation. So -8, -8 plus 3 is -5. -4y plus 4y, that's 0. -4 times -1, which is 4, plus 16 is 20. So then divide by -5, so that's -4. So that's going to be our first coordinate. Plug it back into, let's say, this equation. So we have 2 times -4, which is -8, and then -1 minus that -8, that's 7. So that's our value for our y. So our answer for number 20 is -4, 7. Well, coordinates -4, 7. And that's basically it. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you at the next math record.